Welcome to the Retail Tech Podcast, where we talk about the full spectrum of technologies and implementation used in omnichannel and online retail. Make sure to subscribe to our newsletter at retailtechpodcast.com, and we always look forward to your feedback. I'm here speaking with Bharat Rupani, President of Interactions, which is a consumer experience marketing company. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, Darius.
So tell me more about what is Interactions and how do you help and work with retailers?
Yes, Interactions is a company where we help retailers more effectively engage with their customers. And what we are trying to do is enhance the opportunity to sell more and to help their customers understand more about the products that are there. And we feature that, and we have the experience to connect with consumers in store as well as out of the store.
So how do you actually do that?
Yes. Now in store, obviously, there's ways that we do that is through product demonstrations, that we are featuring products that are scheduled by the retailer or by the brand in conjunction with the retailer. We schedule those and we get an understanding of the products, the features of the products, and we help consumers that come by in the store, and we let them understand what the products are about. We help them taste it, and then we get that feedback from them, and we provide that back to the retailer, to the brand. But in the process of showcasing those products, and we help increase the sales and the engagement so that consumers stay longer in store, and maybe what our opportunity is to increase the basket size.
Everybody's trying to increase the conversion. How does actually talking to one of your representatives in the store help a consumer convert more?
Yeah, I think you see consumers today, they don't have much time. So while they're walking by on the shelf, what is going to resonate is the label or what they have in mind, on their list to buy. But products can't really speak. So our people do that for the products and are able to help them understand, able to make the products more relevant to the consumers. So I think that engagement itself, I think, one is the conversions. The other is, the ability to engage in store, which consumers like more and more. There's not many people that they interact with. And then, the ambience and the environment is much more positive when we have our people in store engaging with the consumers.
Okay, so that goes also into the factor that the human connection actually makes a difference, because if you listen to a lot of news these days, it seems like the future of retail is just shoppers working with machines and no human interaction. And I personally don't think that's the future, because even when you look at how people interact with each other online, they're trying to connect to other human beings. So I think in the retail experience, it's going to be the same, and it seems like what you're also focusing on is the same principle.
Absolutely, I think you hit the nail on the head. We believe that the human connection, there's nothing on par with the ability to connect, person to person, face to face, and that's the differentiation that can be brought about in a physical store experience. And I think that people may try to replace that, but really, the ability of a computer or some machine to take over the emotional connectivity that a human can bring about is a stretch. But not to say that you cannot augment humans with technology. Now that's where we want to make that human connection even more powerful than what it is.
Right. So the challenge or the success formula in the future is probably going to be not just like throwing people like salespeople in a store and hoping that they will stick basically to the consumers. Is empowering whatever number of sales associates you have in the store with the right technologies and the tools, so that they actually can connect better with the consumer of the future. So, one of the things that I hear is that, shoppers hate to go to the store. Well, not again, that's a headline that these type of things grab headlines, but there's a lot more behind that. Shoppers don't hate to go to the store. They love to go to the stores. They don't like to stand in line. They like to have somebody actually help them. They don't want to wait for 15 minutes while somebody's helping another person. And then, so I think and technology can actually help retailers optimize these processes a lot better.
You're absolutely right. I think the issue becomes the challenge is the number of people coming through, a busy retailer. It makes it difficult, and you have, these salespeople inside the stores. Is how much can they pick up? But if you have some, very effective technology that's intuitive, that helps the salesperson not only understand this is a customer A, but this is John Doe, and what are John's likes and preferences, that they can then better connect with them. Now you see that happening in a lot in the hospitality industry, in the travel industry. So if you are, in the upper tier status of, one of these premier hotels, they know exactly when you walk in the door, and by the time you get to the elevator, they know you by your name, and because they've obviously, they're being told, and then once they're being told, it's person X, they're able to pull that up on their smartphone, know their likes, their dislikes. The question is, how do you make it intuitive, and how do you make it fast enough so you can do it in the store? How do you recognize people coming through the door? So those are all the challenges that we'll have to kind of overcome. It's much easier in an industry like, say, if it's apparel, and there's a lot of time being spent, people trying out. You can have the time to make that happen, versus in a food store where people don't have as much time, or there's a whole influx of customers.
Right.
So those are the challenges I think we'll have to kind of work through.
When you work with different companies, you mentioned earlier that your focus is, or the majority of your customers right now are in the food business.
Yes.
But you also have other type of clients. Is there a fundamental difference between how your product actually helps food versus other products?
Well, yes. Food is easy because once it goes into a customer's mouth, they can conclude quickly whether they taste it or they don't taste, they don't
Right.
like it or they like it. I think with other, non-food or services, it's a much harder sell. It takes a longer time because then you have to explain the experience. Whereas the food, it is the experience.
Right.
But for example, one customer that I can talk about is Advanced Auto. Now we are helping them, with some mobile tours on the East Coast and on the West Coast.
What does Advanced Auto do?
The Advanced Auto is an auto retailer. They sell,
Dealerships?
They sell spare parts. They sell,
Okay.
everything to do with car accessories and,
Okay.
and automobile accessories.
Okay.
So it's one of the premier, auto companies in the market. But here, there's a lot that they can then engage with their customers and teach them about, how to look after their cars, or how to, what they need to do in terms of when certain things happen. So we're doing a mobile tour for them, and this tour then stops along the way in, towns and cities, and they have classes, for them, explaining again various initiatives that they can take up, or how better to look after their automobiles. So we do those kind of things, and we have people that are driving this big bus, to speak, and they go through and they do that. So that's kind of an experiential event that we do outside of food.
Okay. So the other big, I guess if I can say, the big elephant in the room for everybody these days is data. And you mentioned that you also capture data, and to the level that the retailer, your customer, allows you or requests from you. How do you actually capture this data, and then how do you transfer it or deliver it to the customer in a way that they can actually use it?
Yeah, I think again, as you rightly pointed out, it depends on what the retailer wants to allow us to capture. So, for example, now we're just trialing these technologies. Is we have in-store tablets at the level of engagement, at the platform of engagement. So we could capture, who's coming to that particular, say, cart for that experience, if they were able to slide their loyalty card, if the retailer allows us to do that. we can capture that. Besides that, we try to capture things in the background that don't invade privacy. So, we will use, sensors within the sensors, to do with the sound, to do with vision that we can capture. So, that visual sensor will tell us how many people went by that cart on that particular day.
Okay.
The visual sensors will also tell us, as people ate, and if we have the sensors, targeted, how many were happy and how many were not happy.
Right.
The amount of sound, we can capture. So it's, how is our brand ambassador doing? So then we can compare that data across the board and say, oh, one of our brand ambassadors was not talking as much. So maybe they were not able to sell. So now with new technology to do with sound, to do with vision, we're trying to see how we can capture that and not per se, take direct, any private feedback, but make ourselves better using, the visual and the sound sensors.
Right. Thinking about in-store experience that probably most people in the US know is going to Costco and getting samples from, the different vendors. But right now what happens is that you go there, you get a sample, and then how do you know actually if that person actually made a purchase? There is no way for the vendor or to Costco to directly link that sample tasting to a purchase. But if you were able to, like when you mentioned the loyalty card, if you actually took the card of the person, let's say a Costco membership card, you scanned it before giving per person the sample, that can directly be tied to that purchase today from that customer.
Well, I don't know about Costco per se. What I would tell you is that, Costco or any other retailer may not be able to link the purchase back to who is buying it, but for sure they know when the product is being demonstrated, they know the total sales figure.
Right.
So they can see the lift. So what we find in interactions is, whenever we have a product on demonstration, on average, the sale is up 287%.
Okay, so that's a good way to measure what goes on. Okay, so what do you think in the next 3, 4, 5 years? How from your experience working with retailers in the stores, what do you think the evolution of this business is going to be in the next 5 years?
Well, I think more so. I think that differentiating between the physical and digital realms, human interaction, and people who are expert in engaging with consumers, they will be a much more wanted group of people because they can then help retailers better connect with their customers. So I think that quintessential ability to sell and engage will not go away. But what I see is these people who are well trained to sell and to engage, if augmented by technologies that don't invade privacy but make them more powerful in their engagement, I think that is the future.